Hello everyone. Today we're going to continue our Hello World project and we are going to implement navigating and passing data between view controllers. If you have not seen the previous video and you'd like to see it, I'm going to leave the link on the description. So just continuing from what we done last time. I'm going to expand here. We had this view controller where we would put a text on this text field and we would press the button send and we would see that text on the label. So now, instead of seeing that text on the label on this view controller, we're gonna pass this data around and we're gonna pass it to the next view controller, also navigate to the next view controller. So Command Shift L, let's create a new view controller. Here, select the view controller. And there are many ways to create a segue, and I can show all the ways as we go with our courses, but I'm going to show you the simplest way. From the button here, we can just control drag and we can select an action segue. So here I'm just going to present it modally. Those are different ways to present it. Let me delete and show it again. So those are different ways to present another view controller. And I'm not going to get in detail with that right now, but modelly is pretty much like creating a model. So let's go with that right now. And instead of having the label here now, I'm going to have the label on this new view controller that I am creating. Okay, so since we create this UI for this view controller, we also have to create a view controller that's gonna be connected to this UI component, because right now, as you see here on the top right, there is nothing. So let's create a new file. And it's gonna be a view controller, so let's call it detail VC. And I'm gonna create class detail VC. It's gonna be extended view controller, UI view controller. You have to always import UI kit here. So now we can set a detail view controller as the manager for this view. So let's just put it here, detail view controller. And now we can option click on our detail view controller. So we open side to side and we make a reference to this label in this view controller now. Label. Let's copy the label. Now when we go to our first view controller, we have to delete the reference to the label. We also have to delete this. We can keep the action, but the action now actually is sending to the next view controller. So we can just remove this. So the way we did on the main storyboard, we create a segue between those two view controllers. And this segue we can give a identifier. So let's call it show detail. Okay. So now on the view control, the main view controller, we're gonna pass a text field text to the next view controller. So Swift has a function called prepare for segue, and that's the function that's called every time we are going from one view controller to another one. because on the main storyboard we create that segue action from the button. So every time we click the button now, it's going to navigate to the next view controller. And during that navigation, we want to pass the data. So let's create a reference to the next view controller. Let's call destination equals segue.destination. And we know that it is a detail view controller. So let's do this. And here we're gonna pass this text field to the next view controller. But here we have to create we can't pass it to the label directly because label is a UI in the detail view controller, and we don't know if that label is going to be instantiated at the time we pass the data. So let's just create a var here to receive the text, var text, type string, and let's set it to empty. So let's go there and say destination.text equals to text field.text. So here we are actually passing, we have to make it optional because text field text is always optional. And if you don't know what optional means, it means that it can be null. So it has to pass something that can be null. So here we're passing, and during view deload, we want to the label.text to receive the text from the other view controller. So now, if we run our app, and write anything here, text from first view controller, and press send, we should be able to see the second view controller with this text we are passing. As you see, text from the first view controller. We can write something else. Another text. And we should be seeing the text passing around. Okay, another way to present another view controller is, instead of using this segue, we can just remove that, and we can manually present that view controller when the user presses the button. So if you go to the code here, we're not going to use these anymore. We're going to go back to using the button action. And when the user presses that button, we want to create an instance of that detail view controller and pass the data. So let's create it. For that, we're going to need a storyboard. We're going to need to make a reference to the storyboard. The name of the storyboard, as you see here, is main. So just pass that name. And our controller is, we have to instantiate our controller now with the storyboard. So instantiate view controller with identifier. Yeah, that's correct. Here on the main storyboard, since we're going to create this view controller, we have to get it identifier. So as you see here, there's a storyboard already. Let's just call it detail VC. So press here now, detail VC. And we know it is the type of detail VC. Okay, so now we can set our VC to text to the text field, text. So here, that's how we are passing. We're creating a reference to that second view controller that is going to be presented. We are passing our text field text inside a text variable that we created on the detail view controller. And now we're going to present that view controller. So inside of our view controller, there is a function called present. And we just present VC animated. And now this should be all the code. So we are creating the view controller using the storyboard reference, and we are passing the text field text inside of this variable that we create in the detail view controller. And this function is presenting that new view controller. So if you run that, let's try again, text from first VC, text from the first VC, text example. So this is another way of presenting another view controller. And that's all for today. Thank you.